Hello and welcome. Fatyak Speaks. Today is, oh my gosh, June 10th, and this episode 317, I think. Hi. I'm Amy Beth, also known as the Fat Squirrel on Ravelry and the Fat SQRRL on Instagram. Welcome to my house. Enjoy it. There's iced coffee in the fridge. There's cold brew in the fridge, so you can make iced coffee. It'd be weird if there's just iced coffee in my fridge. Yeah, it's just like, hey, we found some non-recalled peanut butter if you're like really needing a PB&J. Yeah, welcome. This episode will have shameless self-promotion. It'll have like this much knitting content, although it is content that I'm quite excited about. It will have sewing content, and it will have shenanigans. So it will also have like random product endorsements that are random. So I don't even know. Like, I guess we'll just do it in the standard format. I thought maybe, okay, you know what? Let's just do some business. Let's do some business in the front. Oh, I mean, let's just get. There will be a shop update on June 15th at fatsquirrelfibers.com at 9 p.m. Eastern. And it will have the following bags. I'm doing like a home and away theme this time. So I have this super cute print from Spoonflower. Look at it. So this is my sweater sized bag. You get this like little adventure-y like photo album. And like the squirrel is so cute, but also I love these little ducks so much, and it's very sweet. And look at this little bird on the ochre with the orange. Everything ogre. Like I'm an ogre. Oh, I wish I could draw. Oh, can I start playing D&D and be an ogre? I mean, ogres are bad, but like ochre. The color ochre has renewed and revitalized my soul, and so I'm no longer an evil ogre. I am renewed. I am renewed by the ochre, which is like, you know, that makes sense. Like that is that's a prehistory pigment that like was involved in like burial rites and stuff. So I mean, maybe I'll be like and then my job could be like priest or like something like it. I don't want to be priest, but maybe like gateway travel agent. Is there that kind of D&D character? Recommender of life paths, but you do you. Is that a D&D character? Oh, but ogre. If you're new, this is how this goes. I'm a little bit neurodivergent, so, you know, strap in. But anyway, isn't it beautiful? Ugh. And you get an ochre zipper because... Ochre. Oh, man. Now I gotta, like, start a dye company called the Ochre. TM. Mine. I'm peeing a circle around it right now. But so there's your like away. Also in the away category, I have these beautiful guys. Now these are a quilter's cotton that's been interfaced. So I have it in the large wedge size. And I will be honest with you, I held on to this fabric forever because I thought I definitely needed to make like a big bottom with it. Like either like an Arthur pant or like a very swishy. But then I was like, but it's also so beautiful. Oh, so I just made bags with it because I was like, okay, stop hoarding. So it's also available in the giganto size. So this is the large wedge. It's great for like a regular shawl project, 2 to 3 skeins, or like if you were doing socks and a hat, you want to take everything with you because you don't know what to do at knit night. Great. This is my Aran sweater bag. It is a hefty boy. And you can put blanket projects in it. You can put sweaters for fat folks in it. You can put sweaters for thin folks in it. You just might have a little extra room for snacks. That's not a bad thing. But she is a big boy. Like, wonk. Like, I could put my head and at least another head in here. And then if I could like chop a head in half, I could put half a head here and half a head here. So this is like a 3 cranium bag. It's big. Don't chop heads in half and put them in my bags. It's purely illustrative. That's Ochre Ogre's old life. And she's moved on. The power of Ogre. So yeah, those are beautiful. This is like a standardish kind of interface thing, and this is like a batting interfacing. So it's got a little bit more body. She'll pretty much, if she's got a little bit of yarn in her, she'll stand up. So that's my goal. That's my goal with all my bags. And then finally, if you're like, no, I don't want to go into the mystical Scottish undergrowths. And no, I don't want to go camping and collect photos. You're like, I would like to stay home. I've got you covered too. We have this guy, which I might do a pre-order of because I could not gauge if you guys would like this as much as I do, but I love it. Like ochre and salmon and like millennial pink and navy. Sign me up. Like, right. And houses. I love anything with houses. So, right. And so this is also my big boy size. This is Aaron sweater size. Because again, the print is just like so, she needs a big canvas. Right. Ugh. Love it so much. So those will be up June 15th. So sorry, 9 p.m. Eastern. That might be the last update I do before SSK. We'll see how we'll see how expensive gas gets. I mean, it's great because I'm like, hey, honey, let's ride our bikes. And my husband is like, okay. So it's definitely helping. So yeah, we'll see how expensive gas gets. But I think it'll be my last update before I go to SSK. So there will be an SSK market, which is open to the public if you're not attending the festival. And I would love to see you there. The festival, the retreat. It's a festival. I would love to see you there if you're in the Nashville, Tennessee area. You can find information on supersummerknittogether.com, I think. Or you can just Google Super Summer Knit Together. And then I also just got confirmation I'm going to be vending at the Wool Gathering, which is in September at Young's Dairy, which is outside of Yellow Springs, Ohio. This will be my first ever multi-day vending event, and I'm a little nervous. But I'm going to try to have plenty of room so that if you want to just like come over and chat, we can do that. So, yeah. So that's in September. And you can find information if you just Google the Wool Gathering, or you can Google like Young's Dairy Farm. But basically there's going to be ice cream, and there are cheese curds, which I've never had, but they're there. So, I mean, it's an ice cream and wool thing. And, I mean, if I don't endorse that, what am I doing with my life? I don't know. So, yeah. I'm a little nervous. So come say hi. But I'll be telling you more about that as it gets a little bit closer. Okay. So that is that. Let's go ahead and do knitting, and then we'll just chat for a bit, okay? So if you're just here for the business, I got you. So let's get right into it. I'm going to show you knitting. I've not done a huge amount of knitting these last 2 weeks. I've knit a little bit on my Knit Spin Farm socks. I have knit a little bit on my Shayna Cohen section cut cowl. So this is what I have so far. It is double-sided. And I'm knitting mine with hand spun and some, I meant to take off my nail polish before I talked, but I forgot. And Brooklyn tweed fingering weight. So that's what I have so far. And I'm like halfway-ish. I love this. Like, also if it bends down, like how fun is that? But then I accidentally, so last time we talked, I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna knit a recalibrate. So same designer, Shade of Cohen. I think I'm going to knit a recalibrate top out of these two yarns. I showed you like a gray and a brown, right? Or brown and it was blue and gray, or blue and brown. And so then I was thinking like, oh, that's like far in the future, you know? No, I cast on, but I didn't do what I said I was going to do. Okay, so I'll just show you what I have so far. Bam. So if you don't know about this top, it's super fun to knit because you knit it like it's like modularly knit, and like you're knitting like whoop. So you're doing this all at once. So you've got your front and your back going, and it's very, very pleasant. So far it's like all garter. I mean, it will be all garter, but like it's not got any shaping so far. It's just a fun, like boop, boop, boop. It's designed for fingering weight yarn at like a looser gauge. So it's very common now to see fingering weight yarn knit at a looser gauge for summer tops and stuff. For me, I think because I am a big person, I don't like the looser gauge as much because it feels like on me that it starts to like become very amorphous. Again, that is a me preference. That is not a, you know, this is what the Ogre is not a priest. He does not tell you the path to take. I'm not judging priests. I mean, I am a little bit, but not all the way. But I'm just saying, like, it's not like I'm prescribing to you the Ochre gospel. I'm just telling you, this is how I interpret the Ochre gospel. Okay? Clearly, I guess that's the name of the podcast this week. I'm just going to write it down because I'll forget by the time I edit. Oh my God. Right. Okay. But like, that's how I interpret the Ochre gospel. So what I have done, instead of knitting it at fingering weight, I knit it at like this, a similar gauge. It's very close in a sport weight. Okay. So this is Quince & Company Chickadee in the like Bosque colorway, like the pear. And then I am alternating hand spun and Beaver Slide Dry Goods 1-ply in just like their natural color. I know I never knit with white. It was very scary. I actually originally did gray, but it just looked kind of like dingy, which was weird. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just go with it. I'm going to go summery. I'm going to just try it. So this pattern is great if you have hand spun or something which you're not sure about. I mean, yes, you know how much yardage you have of hand spun, but like if you split your hand spun in half, so like normally this kind of thing, like you knit one side and then you knit the other. Normally, like if you had a commercial spun yarn, you'd be like, okay, I got 50 grams for this side and 50 grams for this side. With hand spun, yeah, you can split it by weight, but that doesn't mean you're going to have the same actual length because, well, with me anyway, because my hand spun does vary, so the grist is going to change a little bit throughout the skein. So I did do half on one side, but I made it so that when I went to the other side, I could like, so what I ended up doing was taking out a row over here to put it over here because I just didn't have enough of my hand spun. Because again, this hand spun is probably like sport to DK. So I can't exactly go by Shayna's yardage recommendations either because, you know, I'm just a pain and I can never do anything reasonable. Could I have just knit it with that commercially spun fingering weight yarn? Yes. Don't be silly. But I'm really excited about it. Now, I have run out of my hand spun, so I am at a place of like decisions. And I think the decision I have come to is to use, I have some of this Patagonia. I don't have much to do. I just kind of have like a stripe, basically. I have this Patagonia Juniper Farm Patagonia, which is technically a DK, but I don't know what that's about. I think it's definitely more of a sport. So I have this left over from a sweater project, and I think it will look great to kind of give me a little bit more color on the edge. Originally, I had also pulled this Knit Spin Farm Bat Spin, because I thought, oh no, I'm looking at it there, it does look kind of nice. Because I thought maybe I would just continue on with the striping and then work this in instead of this other hand spun, which by the way, the tag was long gone on. I have no idea. So that's an option, but it's much waterier. It's much more, and it's got a little bit of sparkle in it, and it's a little bit floofier. So I'm not sure. I think I'm going to use this. I also have some backup Swan's Island, which is, do I want to say it's my favorite commercially spun yarn? Do I want to go that far? I don't know, man. It's at least like top 3. Specifically the Swan's Island Sport. It's 100% USA Rambouillet wool, and I love it. I don't have very much of it because it's kind of like it's not easy to find now. And somebody's gonna be like, yes it is, you can find it on yarn.com. There's 8,000 skeins of it. Just don't tell me because then I want to buy it all in case it goes away again. But so I also have this that I could add on like a further stripe as the shoulder widens out if I need to. But I think if I just go directly to this, it might be more contrast than I really want. So I think I'm fairly confident that I'm going to start knitting with this. Well, I am going to start knitting with this. And then if I don't like the way it looks, I can just rip it out because it's like super easy to rip it out. It's so fun. So I'm really enjoying this. I hesitated for a long time because I did want to use hand spun. I knew that I wanted to have a little bit more meat in my yarn. And so it was a matter of like, you know, what do I have on hand? Because I do want to use what I have. Like, what do I have on hand in hand spun that's enough yardage that I can also supplement with maybe some commercials to help even it out a little bit. But again, like, this is great because I used up everything but like, you know, a yard essentially of my hand spun, but now I can just move on to something else because it has the feel of color blocking anyway. And so I think the proportions of the blocks will still look good where I'm at. So that's kind of the only thing to worry about in my head is like, obviously colors, but like just do the proportions of the color blocking look good? And I think it will with this. So we'll see. I'm super excited. And what I have done is, I've done something wrong. What I've done is, I just ripped out one side, so I forgot to do the thing. Basically, I started on one side, and I told you I knit a bit, and then I switched to the other side. So all I've done is, I have two of the same size needles, and I've just, when I put one side on hold, I just use these little papery clip things to hold my knitting on. I know that Tangerine Design sells them. Also, if you have a stationery store, you might find them there. But you should definitely check out Tangerine Designs because she has Pac-Man stitch markers as well. And like, you probably need that. So anyway, I'm excited about that. So fun. And this is a top you can wear, if you haven't seen it before, you can wear, like, you don't have to make any of the stripes. Like, you can do whatever you want. Like, it's a like, make, you know, choose your own adventure deal. So you can actually, the way she's designed it is one neckline is lower than the other. So if you like the lower neckline, you can wear that one, or you can flip it because again, there's not any shaping to denote back and front except for the difference in neckline. So you can flip it around if you want like a lower back, and so it's really fun. And it would be very easy to modify. Like if you were a pretty confident knitter, it's fairly easy to modify, like, oh no, I want both necklines lower, or I want them both higher. You know, like it would be very clear how to do that. So yeah. Or I want one of them super low because I am fancy and I am feeling it. So like that's literally all the knitting. I mean, I've got like a sweater 2/3 the way done and I'm like, oh, that's all the knitting. Whatever. That's great. And it was very pleasurable. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about sewing. And then, yeah. Oh, actually, okay, let's talk about, yeah, then I'll talk about weird products because lots of times I don't want to see weird products on podcasts because then I just immediately go buy them. Like I go and buy them. So I'm going to put that at the end so you have a better choice to like not watch that part. Okay. So sewing. I actually have a lot of sewing built up that I just haven't shown you. And I've picked a very bad week to do it because I don't know if you can tell. I am wearing a Super Summer Knit Together t-shirt, which I have modified into like a racer back. Somebody on Patreon asked if I wanted, if I would like show how I do it, and I totally can. But like there are also, if you don't like want to wait on me, there are like lots of older YouTube videos about how to do it, because I do feel like it was like a very early YouTube thing, like to like modify t-shirts and stuff. But I love them because t-shirts never fit me in the arms. Like they are always too small in the arms to like fit me even remotely right in the body. And then they're always also too long because they're made in like unisex sizing. And so if this is I think a 3X t-shirt. And this one was actually less bad than most of them. Like if you start getting into those like beefier t-shirts, like it's like every inch they add in circumference, they also add in length. So like I've got a t-shirt that fits me in the body, is still a little bit like weirdly snug in the arm so that it like rides up, which I hate. Drives me crazy. Not because I don't want to show my arms, because okay, fat arm, what do we call this? Exposure therapy. There's lots of fat arms. And like, this is the time of the year where I see all of the like, oh, I can't show my arms. And like, you know, you do you, 100%. But let me also just interject this very small thing. Like, you don't owe anybody toned arms. Like, that is not anywhere in your life contracts, like at all. And like, I would say even further that like, if Black and brown folks cannot go to a grocery store and not be afraid of random violence against them, if I have to send my kid to school and worry that there could be like a mass act of violence against them, if I don't have access to good health care, if I don't have access to an abortion, if I don't have, which is a subset of good health care, if I don't have access to like an educational system that works for me, you know, if the world does not owe me that, I don't owe the world toned arms. I'm just saying. Like, if Congress really hates my fat arms, which they totally have a right to do, I encourage them. I encourage them to enact gun control and universal health care, and or at least access to health care, whatever that would look like. I am not a genius of political theory, but like access to good health care and an affordable price for all human beings. The, you know, fairly confident assumption of safety when I go into the world. You know, if they'll get that going, I will totally cover my arms if they want me to. Like, I'm all in. I am all in on that exchange. But until then, I'm just saying. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh, so yeah. Oh, okay, that was what we were talking about. I can't actually, like, I've picked a bad week to tell you about my sewing because I actually just got a really weird sunburn the other day that makes me just, I mean, I could put on a bra, but I know you don't want me to. I know you don't want me to be in pain. And I don't owe the world a bra. But I just am at a place where I feel more comfortable in a bra right now. I mean, like, socially more comfortable. So I am not going to show you all these things on my body like in this second, but I will show you pictures of them on my body and I will interject those throughout. Sound good? Okay. So the first thing I want to talk about is actually some pajamas that I'm wearing, so I can't even like hold them up for you. So Liberated released a pattern, and I don't think I actually talked about it at all. Maybe I did. Did we talk about this? Anyway, So Liberated released their Nocturne PJs, and it's a great beginner project because it's a pajama project, so the pants, here, I'll put in a picture here. Okay, so let's talk about my fabrics first. My bottoms, I love. I love my bottoms. They are a cotton lawn. I think that's what they were advertised as. So it is just a very finely, it's sort of like if they made a quilter's cotton but made all the threads a little bit smaller. Like it's just a finer weight but still very tightly woven cotton, and it's lovely. They would also be amazing made out of bed sheets, whether they're vintage or current. And then the top, I do not like the fabric I chose for the top. It's the first time I had worked with this fabric, and it's some sort of like rayon-y kind of blend, which is great for drape and stuff like that. But it wants to hold a crease, and I cannot get it to like not be creasy. So I do not like the top I chose, but I do like the pattern. And the great thing about this is they're written for a beginner sewist. And so you can make them pajamas so that you're essentially making your like wearable toile, like you're wearing your wearable muslin, because they're going to be pajamas, right? But either of these pieces can definitely be street ready. Like I definitely would feel comfortable wearing my silly like hunter green and pink polka dot pants into the world with like a cute top. And the top is definitely street worthy. Like you can make that look super cute as a wearable. So the great thing about this pattern is if you're a beginner sewist and you're still really like not sure about like fits and things like that, you know, you make a pair of pajamas, and even if it's not perfect, they're pajamas, right? Like or lounge clothes, like you're wearing them around the house, and like, you know, like, okay, the sleeve is like a little bit too big or a little bit too small. Like, okay, well then I'll just cut the sleeves off and make them shorter sleeves, but I'll know that if I do want to make this pattern again, I can make that sleeve a little bit bigger. So it's a great project for beginners in that way. You get a top and a bottom. So Liberated does great instructions. I am not paid to endorse their patterns. I am a paid test sewist, but that does not come with any other obligation. Yeah, so there's an Nocturne PJ. And the bottoms I chose have the paper bag waistline, which I really like because it's just kind of fun. Just fun for me. Don't even really like the world's not even really seeing the top of my pants. It's just fun for me. I like them. Okay, so on the same bent of other things I've test sewn for Sew Liberated that we have not talked about, they released their studio tunic. So I will put a picture of mine in here. Okay, so what you see, mine is, that I made, is a 12-ounce bold denim that I dyed. It was like a natural color. And then I dyed it this like amazing acidy green, which Ogre definitely minored in sulfurous green. I mean, it makes sense, right? Ogres love sulfur. It's like brimstone-y and stuff. Just saying. So I dyed this denim myself. Now, I think since they actually published the pattern, they did suggest a slightly lighter weight fabric. Like this totally works. But I think that they did modify that. But this, you know, you could make it in this weight fabric. It was not at all hard to make in this. I think it was just like a matter of like what they wanted from like hang and like dimension. Because if you make with a sturdier fabric, you're going to get a more pronounced like geometric shape than if it's with a softer fabric, a drapier fabric. What else have they done? I believe they shortened it a bit. The final pattern is shortened a bit, but I believe everything else is the same. So it comes in a V-neck or a scoop, so you can choose. And it has like fun details like a hanger loop because it's a studio tunic. And like, let me clarify, this has a deeper arm side. Like it is meant to be worn over something, like whatever you choose. But it's probably going to be worn over a shirt of some kind unless you just are feeling it, in which case, feel it. So yeah, so there's that. And then what else? Oh, so it does have facings, which are very cleverly done. I've never done a facing like this, I don't think. Where basically you kind of are sewing the inner facing onto the fabric facing and then turning it. So it gives you a very easy to achieve clean line, because that's one of the pains about facings is like lots of times they're just, the fabric is interfaced so that it's not going to be a raw edge, like it's not going to fray, but it looks kind of like ugh, when you have it just like, I don't love the way it looks. How about that? Whereas this is very clean. So like you can see, this is the back of my tunic on the inside, and like it's all very beautiful, even on the guts. The guts are even pretty. Oh, okay, but the bestest is the crazy pockets. So you have two ginormous pockets. Like, do you see this pocket? Like, it goes from here to here. Like, you could Gus would not fit in the pocket, but a very sleepy cat might. Definitely a hedgehog, 100%. You know, big knitting. Like, there is actually a picture of the designer just stuffing yarn in her pocket. So, like, you could put a whole project bag in here, no problems. That's a sock plus project bag, a skein of yarn, ball of yarn. I mean, it's endless, right? Like a package of cookies. You do, you know, snacks for days. Like, these are snack heroes. But then it also has a secondary pocket that's not quite, well, is it big enough for my, oh, it is big enough for my phone. It's big enough for my phone, which is an iPhone 8, and like a pen or a pencil or whatever, so you can be like very clever. Anyway, it's very cute. Enjoyable. And then the last thing I'll show you is I made another pocket skirt. So it's kind of just generally called a Peppermint pocket skirt because it was published in Peppermint magazine. It's a free pattern. It only goes, oh, both of the Sew Liberated patterns go up to a size 34, a US 34, which I believe is a 61-inch hip. Let me just check. Obviously, the artist's tunic is, well, not obviously, but maybe you can tell from the side, the picture I showed you, is very generously sized. You don't have to worry about like doing a full bust or anything like that because of that open arm scythe. Like, you don't need to worry about trying to figure out bust starts or anything. What else? I do always make things a little bit narrower in my shoulder just because that's how my body works, but that's, again, literally how my body works. Let me see. So yes, the Sew Liberated goes up to a size 34, which is a 58.5 bust, a 52.5 waist, and a 61-inch hip. And I believe the PJs are the same systems. Okay. But the Peppermint pocket skirt, I apologize that I did not put that out there when I originally talked about them. Peppermint pocket skirt goes to only a size 57-inch hip. Waist doesn't matter because it's elastic. I mean, unless it's significantly larger than your hip. Goes to a 57-inch hip, but it's free and it's very easy to make bigger if you need to. So, Peppermint Magazine pocket skirt. I think you have to give them your email address or something, but just, you know, just give them your garbage one. It's fine. Nobody's checking in. You can get kits. I know that U-Fiber, which again, I have no sponsors, so I will try to be very transparent if I ever tell you anything that involves some sort of exchange of goods. U-Fibers does do like kits where you can get the fabric for your skirt and the pattern printed. in like one go. So that's a fun thing if you're a newer sewist and you're not sure. They've already picked fabrics that will work. And again, you don't have to worry about trying to figure out how to get the pattern printed and all that stuff. Okay. So I went to the French Seam in Indianapolis, which I have never been to. It's in like the fancier area of town. Disclosure. And it's called the French Seam. I was intimidated. I'm just not gonna lie. I am a very working class human being. And like I try to rise above and just be like la 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 la. But sometimes, and also like again, right? If you've ever experienced, like sometimes the making community has some real serious classism involved. Like you have been, well, you may not have been, but I have been like issues of race, gender, sexual orientation, all of that aside, even like boring white lady me, I have definitely gone into a yarn store and been like completely disregarded as a human being because I clearly did not look like I had enough money to buy yarn that day. I don't know. Big mistake. Big mistake. But so like like there are those pockets of like just in the like making community, but I am happy to say the French Seam is not one of them. I was completely intimidated for no good reason. She was lovely. I actually bought, well, okay, I should clarify that I did buy a sewing machine from her. So maybe she was inclined to be nice to me. That could be part of it. But I do think she was just genuinely a nice human. Another person came in and asked a question. She was very kind to them as well. And they didn't buy anything. So I did buy a new serger. I love Juki products. I definitely recommend Juki and Jannomi's consistently, like when folks ask about sewing machines. My commercial machine is a Juki flatbed straight line. I, prior to that, had a Juki TL2000 or something. It's basically, like industrial light machine. It like doesn't have a table. It doesn't have a servo motor, but it's a very high speed straight line only machine. And I keep it because I like to do quilting on it. Because I don't have a walking foot for my commercial machine. I don't even know if they make one. I have no idea. They probably do. It's probably $9,000. It probably costs more than the machine did. But both of those machines are very affordable. Let me clarify affordable. But like they are in if you're looking at the range of sewing machine prices, they are affordable. So, you get into like Bernina's and stuff like that, and you're talking multiple thousands of dollars. Again, these are straight line machines, so they don't have all these bells and whistles, but they are very good long running machines. I've had my first Juki for at least 8 years, I want to say, and I've had my commercial machine for at least 4 or 5, and I have had minimal issues. I've had to take in my original machine once for a repair. And that was actually a repair I could have done myself. It involved like a feed dog that I broke. Anyway. And then I have a Janome gem that is technically, it's on loan from my mom. On permanent loan from my mom. And it's a great little machine. It is, it does, you do need a machine. Well, I want to have a machine that will do like a zigzag and a lightning stitch for knits and, do a buttonhole and stuff like that. And that's the machine I go to for that. It's not a super fast machine because it is like more of an entry level machine. But it works great. It does a great job. I've never had an issue with it not wanting to sew through fabric. I believe I have done top stitching on fairly heavy materials with it, and it's done a great job. But it doesn't have as much power as my commercial machine. I did not plan on talking about sewing machines today, but here we are. So for a long time, I've been looking for a new serger. I had a very entry level, like $200 Brother serger, which people rave about. I don't. And the lady at the French Seam also agrees. So she clearly has a vested interest. I don't. But the issue with the Brother is it is a great little machine for like starting out, but it is a disposable sewing machine, which I have really big issues with. Like it makes me crazy that we have so many disposable things. Because basically a lot of the gears and stuff are plastic. And so once they wear down, like that's it. That's all she wrote, folks. You can get them repaired ad nauseum, and it will not fix your issues. And I had that experience now, and not ad nauseum, but I took it in to have it repaired. And it just still never held the tension correctly. And with a serger, tension is like, I mean, with any sewing, tension is a huge issue. But with a serger, you're talking about multiple thread tensions. And so it can get really gnarly really fast. And it just has never worked. Like after the first couple of years I had it, it's just never worked properly. And I've limped along because it is convenient to be able to serge an edge. You don't need to serge an edge ever. You don't ever need to own a serger at all. I actually still like to sew knits a lot on my regular sewing machine with the lightning stitch because I just like the way it looks. Knits aren't going to ravel, so you don't need the serger to like contain an edge. And the lightning stitch is stretchy enough for most everything I make. Now, if I was making like leggings or something like that, that might be different. Like something that's going to get a lot of stretch. But, you know, most t-shirts and stuff I make are getting minimal stretch because they have positive ease in them. Or at least like 0 ease. But I've been looking for a serger for a long time. And I was definitely looking at Juki's because I like their brand. And I was deciding between like a $550, $600 machine and then the like self-threading machine, which is like $1,100-ish. And so like I was really on the fence about it, going back and forth and back and forth. And I don't know what happened, but I just decided to go for the fanciest one. And it's funny because like for the longest time I was like, I don't even want the air serger or the air threading machine because I'm like, that's just something else to get broken. I do have power windows in my car, but if I was buying a new car, I don't know that I would. It's just something else that gets broken. But I heard so many people rave about them and I was like, I don't even mind to like thread my serger. I don't mind it at all. But the reality is like, it is very easy to incorrectly thread your loopers on a serger. Like you can get one thread under the other one and it like just throws everything off and like, and I don't even change my threads for sergers like very minimally. Like I have like cream and I have gray and then I do have mustard because ochre. But you know, it's not like I even change my threads all that often. But for some reason I just got fancy and was like, oh, I'll try it. I'm such a mess, y'all. I think there was one other factor that, like one other feature that the air threading one had that the other one didn't. But like clearly, like, and I used it to somehow justify buying the more expensive one, but I don't remember what it was. So clearly it was not important. It was just me trying to justify buying the most expensive one. The more expensive one. All that said, that air threading is nice. It is so slick. You can find reviews of it. I mean, I can tell you which model it is. It's like the only one. I mean, I think Juki only makes 2 air threading sergers, but it's slick, yo. It's very exciting. It's kind of magical, and the other thing is, I've never had a machine where the like needle threading function worked well. Now that could just be, it's the Juki MO1000. Like I've never had a machine where the like needle threading worked particularly well. And that could be just because I never actually like learned how to do it. I just assumed I knew how, I don't know. The needle threading works so well. And it's also magic. So like, it's awesome that it's like very easy to do, but it's also so fun because every time I thread the needle, I'm like, ooh! And every time I do the air threading, I'm like, ooh! It's slick, y'all. Because it not only like pushes the thread up into like where it should be, but it also threads the needle of the, like, I don't even know how that works. And yes, it's definitely something that get broken, but they've been out for quite some time and I do hear good things over and over about them. So I'm just going to like keep them crossed. It's slick, yo. It's super slick. So anyway, so I did buy this machine from her, so I don't know. But her shop was super cute. She had, okay, I did take a little video. I need to get better at taking videos of like places I am. But I did stick a little video just to kind of give you an idea of what it looked like inside. And I did ask her permission, so I'll put it in here. Okay, she has like a great selection. She has like a lot of quilters cottons. She also has a lot of patterns, which like indie patterns, which I was super impressed with. And if there is a plus size version in print, she has it. Like she's like on it. She's got it going on. So I was really pleased. So yeah, yay her. And so she's got a lot of quilters cottons, but she's got a good, the best selection of apparel fabrics that I have run into in person. She had like a lot of really fun knits, and she had this. Okay, she had two things. One thing I bought, I haven't sewn up yet. And I apologize, I don't know how to say this, but this is a Coca cotton, a Coca limited. So it is made in Japan, and I don't know what the substrate is, but it's like it's a very fine cotton, like in terms of, it's almost like gauze, like it's almost like a single gauze. It's very light, and it is transparent, translucent. Remember your middle school science kids. But I just loved it so much. This is like not even a great color for me. Like I tend to look much better in more saturated colors, especially next to my face, which this probably will be since it is such a light fabric. Although, I mean, I could totally make a skirt. I'm like trying to see if I can see my thighs through it. But it's just so, I mean, I don't know why I fell in love with it so much. I mean, Ochre. But I just loved it. The only thing I don't like about these Cocoa fabrics is they're always only 45 wide. And like for garments, like if you're a fat person, it's like... You really do like a 50. But I will say that this peppermint pocket skirt works totally fine for 45 because it's multiple panels. So this I'm not sure what to make with yet. What do you think? Do you have an idea? I think I only have 2 yards. I think I originally thought maybe I'd make a ruby top or something. Like a yoked top that has some gathers. But maybe I'll make it just shorter because I like all things cropped now. I like it. But then I also bought this one, which I super love. So they made this one into my peppermint pocket skirt like the next day. And these fabrics are pricey, by the way. They're like $20-ish a yard. And again, for a 45-inch wide, that's some dollars. But they're gorgeous. And I'm very excited about this. This has already been washed like 3 or 4 times probably, and it's looking very nice. I do think this one has might have some sort of linen content in it because it doesn't have like an actual slub, but it like has a hint, a frisé of slub. Anyway, I absolutely adore it. I should probably put a picture of me in it. Okay, here, I'm going to put that in here. And so again, this is a great, oh, I forgot. I started to talk to you about how you could make it bigger. The skirt essentially is like 4 panels, like a front and a back panel, which are very much like this. And then your side panels, which is where the magic is. That's where the pockets are. So if you need your skirt to be a little bit bigger, like if you have a bigger hip than 57 inch, or you just want it to be fuller because maybe it's like sort of translucent, whatever. It's very easy to make that front and back panel bigger. They're cut on a fold. So all you have to do is just move the panel away from the fold. For example, I think I added 1 inch to the front and back, if I'm not mistaken. Hope I'm not lying. It might be 2 inches. I'm not sure. But you basically just scooch that and like give yourself an even distance between the fold and then the edge of the pattern that says it goes on the fold. Because again, they're a straighter piece because they're just like front and back panels. There's no like weird shaping. You don't have to, like, it's very easy to do. And also I've said this before, so I apologize if you're like, dude, we already know. But yeah, you're here. It's fine. She doesn't know. She needs to know. He needs to know. They need to know. Everybody needs to know. The waistband is not separate. So like if you're making adjustments to the front and back panel, you don't have to worry about then also like, oh, I got to add in 2 inches to this waistband. I got to move all the markings. The waistband is like grown on. It's incorporated into the pattern piece itself. So when you add that width to the panels, it automatically adds it to the waistband. I think that's all. Oh my goodness, right y'all? What else? Oh my god, that's not all! I'm a liar and I lie. Shenanigans! How did I forget Shenanigans? Alright kids, what else? Okay, so I did that. Okay, I've done that. We went to like a little Earth Day thing at our local park, which was completely not that interesting. But I do have to tell you 2 things. Okay, 1. There was a food truck with a wood-fired oven in it for pizza. Like a literal like hearth with wood in there burning to heat the hearth to make the pizza. Okay, that was very exciting. It's not like it was like indie catering or something. It was not like like a cute little indie restaurant, but it was still very exciting. Okay, second thing. They had a water bottle refilling station, like a trailer that had been dropped off. It was sponsored by our local utilities. And it just had like 6 taps, 8 taps, I don't know, on the side of the thing. And like you could just, like it was like a beer tap, you just went and like filled your water bottle. And it was free. Can we just make this happen at all things now? Are you on the East or West Coast? Do you have this at all of your festivals? I want to know if it's just us. Because I hate to buy the single plastic bottles. Hate it. But also I need more than like 16 ounces of water that I can smuggle in. You know what I mean? I would be happy to pay the $1 for the water. Like if I could just use my own jug, I'd be happy to do that. Like, or like a donation thing to not to the citizens' utilities because they're okay. But you know what I mean? Like because I understand, like a lot of festivals and stuff, they make money off those concessions, like, and that's how they can support the whole thing. And I would be happy to throw some money in the kitty to be able to refill my water bottle. But those were 2 things. Oh, the third thing is that there was like the trash pickup dude was totally riding around on one of those. It's not a Segway because it doesn't have handlebars. Like it's just like a hoverboard. Like it's not a hoverboard, but it's like a board on wheels that's electric. What are those called? You're going to tell me. I don't care. It's actually not a big deal. But he was on one of those things and he had his like little garbage claw and it was like, and he had like a little trailer he was pulling that had like his garbage bags like on like a PVC frame. And he was just like picking up trash and, what? How fun is that? I told my husband, I was like, I need that set up so I can go pick up trash along our riverbank. It was so cute. I was like, that looks like it would be just fun to pick up trash. That's how you know you're getting old. Me and Dave Starretts are just going to go pick up trash. Have a good old time. What else? I think that's all. Oh no, it's not all, because there was also, our library was there, and they have a library bike mobile site. It was so cute. It was like very DIY looking, like it was a bike trailer, and it just had like full on like the angled bookshelves, and then there were books on them that were like bungeed down, and it was just being pulled on a bike trailer. It was so cute. It's not a checkout one, so it's not like your regular bookmobile or whatever. It's literally just free books. So like you don't have to worry about if you have a library card or whatever. Like, it's just free books for folks. And like this time it was like all children's books, but I went and saw pictures. Like I had to Google it and find other pictures. I went and found pictures of it. Like they do it at other events that are more like adult. Like this wasn't kid focused, but you know, whatever. But they have like all sorts of books on it for free. I was like, oh, it makes me so happy. So while this festival was not particularly interesting, those were like 4 things that made me very happy. And I just want to share them with you. Right? Like how cute. Can you imagine if you were a kid? Like, okay, just imagine yourself. Like I'm just dialing myself back. And like, you know, I had a mom who loved some crafts. And so like we went to lots of festivals and stuff. And I enjoyed them, don't get me wrong. But sometimes, you know, as a kid, you're like, my meter's full, yo. Like if there had just been like some person just like biking by with free books, yes, sign me up. I've been so excited. And you don't have to worry about like if your library card has some overdue things on it because you're a kid and like you're a kid. Like you don't have to worry about that. You just get a book. Oh my gosh, I love it. So cute. Okay, so then in other shenanigans. Okay, so this is the Oh no, we're going to do that at the very end is the products. Okay, so in other shenanigans. Okay, so I have been on a kayak kick. I'm actually going kayaking tomorrow with my best friend from high school, who is my best friend forever. I don't know how I got so lucky to meet my bestie best in high school. Like we don't live anywhere near each other. Like we have gone years without seeing each other. Whatever, we're fine. So we're going to go kayaking. Okay, let me get the bad thing out of the way. Kentucky, get your act together. Actually, all canoe liveries and kayak liveries, get your act together. Put your weight limits on your website, and not in a shitty way, okay? Like several of the websites I looked at, the only 2 websites I think that I saw that had a weight limit listed said, our weight limit is 275 pounds. Please do not put us in the position of telling you you're too big. I get it. But like you could just say our weight limit is 275 pounds. Because if you think that is as awkward, like as awkward as it is for me, as it is for you, it's not. It is not the same amount of awkward. Like also, have you noticed that there are a lot of fat people around Kentucky? You're like number 4 in the fattest states in the country? I think you're like number 4. I had to call, do you know me? Maybe you don't. I don't like to call people. I had to call so many people to find a canoe livery, a kayak livery, that would offer a kayak to somebody who weighed more than 300 pounds. Actually, it was almost impossible to find. Like 275 was actually the primary limit. Okay, I had to call so many people. And so many people were like, I mean, we do have tandem kayaks and they go up to 600 pounds. I'm like, that is not the same. Okay, like physics-wise, that does not work. Like you putting a 350-pound person in a 2-man kayak, like all of the weight is in the same place. It's not evenly distributed over what it would be if it was 2 300-pound people in a 600-pound kayak. Okay. There's also this whole thing in kayaks about like technical weight limit versus like functional weight limit. And nobody will tell you, like, I'm assuming they are all like capacity weight limits versus functional weight limits, because lots of kayaks will have a capacity weight limit of 325, let's just say 300 pounds. But the functional weight limit is more like 270. So that's the other thing. Like, so you say that your kayaks go up to 300 pounds. I'm like, okay, like, let's just say I'm a 300 pound person. I go in and it's like, oh, well, yeah, you can ride in this kayak and it probably won't sink, but you're not going to have a great time. Like, you're going to be really way low in the water. And if it's a creek trip, you might have to just walk your kayak way more than anybody else. That will make you feel awkward or like picked out or... Now, I will say that there were a couple of companies, one in Kentucky, Canoe Kentucky. Good job on ya. They did not I couldn't find it on their website that they told you what the weight limit was. But when I Googled, I was able to find a comment on TripAdvisor that told them, or that said, the person was asking about the weight limits of their kayaks, and then the person at Canoe Kentucky said, you know what, we have, because they are an actual like kayak, they sell kayaks, they don't just rent them. Like, just when you're making a reservation, give us a call, tell us what you need, and we'll make sure you have a boat that works for you, because we have, you know, a bigger range. So like, at least there was, like, so good on them. Okay, like, that's the minimum, and it should be on their website, but I still have to give them, because they did something. I get it. The cheaper kayaks are the ones that have a weight limit of 275. Function weight limit of 250. Hello, Kentucky. Get up off it. I get it. Those are cheaper, like, to buy. I get it. Like, you're an outfitter. But, you know, offer an option for folks who don't weigh 250 pounds. Because, like, there are a lot of us. And some of us actually do want to do things. Actually, a lot of us would probably like to do things if we felt like we could. If we weren't afraid that we would drive 2 hours to some place to go kayaking, and then the people would be like, meh. This is really awkward for me, but you're too fat. Like, what? No. I don't need to have, like, an 18-year-old tell me. I don't need that. Do you need that? I don't need it. I'm just saying. I get it. Give me a fat tax even. I'll take a fat tax. Say, hey, there's a premium kayak. It goes up to $375, $400, $500. It's a premium one. You got to pay an extra $20. I'm there. I get it. It's shitty, but still, I understand it. Economically, I get it. Anyway. But Canoe Kentucky. So we're going kayaking tomorrow. Okay, but... Okay, let's dial that back for a few weeks. Okay, so last weekend? I don't know. Since we've talked. I found out that my Eagle Creek, which is like our big reservoir in Indianapolis, they have always rented kayaks, but they've always had 275 weight limits. But this year they bumped it. Now it's 375, I think. I think it's 375 for a single kayak. So yes, Eagle Creek. Boom! You get my dollars. Boom! So we took, my husband and I, our child and the friend of theirs, we all went together. My thought was, we'll all get single kayaks. We'll go out on the reservoir. I'll get a little feel for it. I'll make sure that, like, you know, I fit in the kayak comfortably. Like, all that kind of stuff. I know that they're not the same kind of kayaks as other people, but you know what I mean? Like, I am an over-preparer. I just need to really prepare a lot for things. It is part of my neuro-ness, and my Virgo-ness, and, like, all of my-ness. Like, I just really need to know ahead of time what's going to happen, okay? Or, like, at least, like, 40 different things that could happen, and so I can prepare for those 40 things. I'm a nightmare, y'all. Anyway. But my husband is older than me, and he just cannot disassociate his idea of kayak from, like, white water kayaking. And so I know that he's really, like, not sure about it. So I'm like, you know what, babe? We'll just get a canoe, because he's been in canoes before. And I was like, we'll let the kids get kayaks. And, like, you can just see how they do. You know, you can, like, get, like, your toes wet. I'll still feel like I'm getting some information, because I'll be able to see the kayak. You know, like, everybody will be happy. Okay. So it doesn't feel like it's a particularly windy day, right? Like, I didn't notice it. We go rent our canoes and our kayaks, and I have never been in a canoe. I've been in a rowboat, but I've never been in a canoe. And so my husband climbs into the back of the canoe because that's where the experienced person is supposed to sit. I get in the bow, which is very narrow, but like I kind of, we're on the like dock, not dock, but like it's a ramp. That's the loading area. So the bow of the canoe, the kids get in their kayaks. He pushes them off. They're doing great. I'm like kind of nervous because I'm like, I get on this canoe seat and I'm like, it feels very tippy, but I'm like, okay, it's because part of the boat is on the ground and like, it's very rocky. And I'm like, okay. So I get myself kind of situated. I get myself kind of settled down into the seat. So I'm like feeling very centered and ready to go. We push off. We have a little trouble. Like, you know, I'm paddling. I'm like, okay, we're trying to figure this out. My husband's not giving me a lot of verbal directions, but I'm like, and I do not like that I cannot see what he's doing, right? Like, I do not like that. Like, if you're in the front, you're like, you can see you and like this much of the front of the boat, and that's it. So I really don't like that I can't see him and like what he's doing. That I didn't anticipate that that would weird me out so much, but it was I just did not like it. Again, partly because like he is not a super like verbal communicator. That's probably a big part of it. But so we're like, okay, so we're like figuring it out. Like where the launch is kind of like on a little bit of an inlet. So it's very calm, flat water. And the guys tell us like, okay, so what we recommend is that you go out, you paddle up to this area because you're going to be paddling into the wind. And then on the way back, the wind will help you, you know, if you're, you know, that way you're going to be more tired and like, you know, it'll be easier on you. We're like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So we kind of like get ourselves turned around and we're trying to, you know, I feel good. I don't feel like it feels tippy or anything. I feel like it's kind of like we're trying to figure out how to paddle correct. Like maybe we're, again, a communication issue, but like, it feels like, okay, we're working on it. So we get our boat turned, like we're going to turn into the wind, and we cannot turn into the wind. Like, I am like really paddling. I'm trying not to like go too deep because again, I'm still kind of nervous about the balance thing, but I'm giving it a good go. You know, I'm paddling, and we're like, you know, I'm like, is this right? And he's like, yes, it's right. It's like, but we're just like we're not going it. Like we're not turning, and I can't tell if it's because like I just don't know what's going on. Again, because I can only see like this much of the front of me. I do not like it, but I'm like, you know, occasionally I'll be like, is this correct? And they're like, yes, okay. So I'm like, still going, but we're just like paddling and we're like maintaining our position, but we're not turning and we're not going forward. Like we're literally just like somehow treading water in the canoe. I'm like, okay, well, okay. I have no sense of danger. I have a little bit of like, are we going to be able to move this canoe? But I have no sense of like, boom, I'm underwater. We have flipped the canoe. What? Like, I'm just, no, like, whoa, just like paddling, boom, I'm underwater. Like, I'm just like under the boat. Like, what just happened? We're in life vests. I, as an over-prepared human, have bought cases for our phones. My keys are clipped into my bra strap, because I have a carabiner, tucked into my bra cup, under a shirt, under a life vest. I thought that's where my wallet was. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. But we're just like underwater. And like, I have been on boats like my whole life, but it's always been like my papa. And it's always been like a fishing boat. Even in bad weather, there was never, we always had to wear life jackets, but like never have I fallen out of a boat. Or had a boat fall on top of me. It was a very weird experience. Very weird. Like, I've actually never been in water in a life jacket. Like, I've never actually... Yeah, I've never had a life jacket on in water. And these are like the old school... Like, they're not the super old school, like, bright orange, just tube ones. But they're like a full life jacket. Not like a fancy modern one. there's this point of like, what's happening? So I get out from underneath the boat, and then I'm like, okay, like, I guess we need to flip this canoe onto its, to right the canoe, and then like swim back to shore, because we are a good way, we're in deep water, like we are in a, like, it's not like we can stand up, we're in deep water. I'm like, okay, we gotta flip this canoe and then like head back to shore. So I'm like, okay, honey. So I'm like, I flip it, you know, we flip it, like we turn it around, like, and it's like, okay, it's not going to empty. We've got water in the canoe, but I guess that's what we're just going to do. So I'm like, I've got a paddle under my armpit. I'm holding onto a canoe. And I'm like paddling. My husband is not moving. And I'm like, oh, honey, you've got to paddle. Like I'm close enough to him that he is 6'4". Like if he were moving his feet, I could tell. I'm like, honey, we have got to move ourselves. We gotta move ourselves. He's not talking to me. He's faced away from me. And he doesn't appear to be moving. And I'm like, what is happening here? Like, what is happening here? I later find out that what is happening is that he has a hat on, and it's his like favorite hat, and like it's high level attachment to the hat, okay? Like very high level. He knows I'm alive because we're in life jackets. Like it's not a concern of like, I'm gonna save this hat before I save my wife. Like there's not a concern of that. He has seen the hat like on the wave, like just like the chop. He has seen it and is trying to use his oar to hook his hat. But he's so focused on getting the hat that he's not communicating that to me at all. So I am just like, is this man in shock? Like what's going on with him? And again, since I have never been in the water in a life jacket, it's very hard to move forward like in a life jacket. Like because they're designed to flip you on your back. But like it takes me a while to figure that out. So I'm like finally like, oh honey, because I'm like, I'm not getting anywhere with this boat. Like, honey, flip on. Finally, the teen comes around and picks the hat up for Dad and has secured the hat in the kayak. And I'm like, give the paddle to the teen. They will take it. I still have my paddle. I don't know why I didn't give, whatever. I'm like just trying to take care of other people, I guess. So I'm like, okay, flip on your back. Because if I flip on my back, I'm like, oh, I can move way better on my back. Which again, I logically know. But in the moment, having never practiced this, I didn't remember. So I get onto the back. I'm like, like in the, like again, the canoe's on its side. Because you can't flip it all the way onto its like all the way right side up because it's got so much water in it. So I'm like holding on to the thing of the canoe. I got a paddle under my arm. And I'm like backstroking. And I'm like, honey, you have got to kick. Because again, I know he's not kicking because I can't feel him kicking behind me. Honey, you've got to kick. So about this time, the like rescue skiff. And by the way, it sounds like this is like 20 minutes. It's like 3 minutes max. Right? But it feels like 100 years. As I'm turning around to yell at my husband, I see the kid. By the way, he's not really a kid because he said he'd been doing this for 16 years. He just looked really young. He comes in the like little motorboat, like. So it's like, okay, the rescue man is coming. So he comes up. And he's like, just drop the paddle, drop the canoe, like just get you into the boat. And I'm like, okay, thanks. So I let go of the canoe, let go of the paddle. But the problem is the motor on the boat, he's got his, what is that? The stern? The back of the boat is towards us. Cause like that's where there's like a little ladder. And obviously that's where he is because he's controlling the motor, the outboard motor. But like, the motor is running. So in my head, I'm like, okay, there's a prop on that motor. Like I didn't understand that motor could be in neutral, like so that it would still be running, but the prop wouldn't be turning. And like, I should know that. But like, I was too young when my papa would take us on the boat for me to like ask if that was a possibility. So all I'm thinking is don't get near that prop because that's what papa always told me. Don't get near the prop of the boat, of the motor. So I'm like, oh crap, now I gotta swim forward because I can't swim on my back because I won't be able to tell I'm getting close to that prop. But of course, like, it's so hard. So I'm like, this dude thinks I probably can't even swim. I'm like, I can't. So my husband is also like right there. He gets close and I'm like, watch out for the prop. And the guy's like, oh no, it's in neutral, it's fine. And I'm like, oh. So then I turn over my back and I swim towards the boat. And my husband's like, you get in. And I'm like, oh no, you get in. Because the guy is like, I've got a ladder. And it's like, it is like not even this wide. Maybe it's this wide. It looked like it was about this wide, but it was wide enough for me to get both my feet on. So he like rolls out this ladder that's like 2 rungs this big. It's made of like, you know, fishing line. It's not even, it is metal, but it's like a jeweler's ladder. It's so tiny. And so I'm like, oh no, husband, you get on the boat, because if I'm trying to get on this boat and this guy, who's not a tiny guy, but like, he's not me, like, I know physics, if I like, I'm just flip him over my head. I'm like, this is not gonna work. So like, ideally it's both, I'm like figuring the math in my head of like, okay, 2 of them, okay, we could probably make this work. And then I'm like, okay. So, and by the way, my husband is in like full jeans, a full shirt, a hoodie, and like boots. He is not interested in dressing appropriately for any occasion. Autism. So like, I understand that he is even more like overwhelmed by this thing than I am. Anyway, he gets in the boat. I'm like, okay, so I get 1 foot on the like ladder, and then I'm like trying to like think in my head, like work through this, how this is gonna happen. And I'm like, maybe if I get both feet on the ladder, I'll be able to like, you know. So I get both my feet on the ladder, and there are like ropes across the deck. And the guy's like trying to give me hands, like, I don't want your hand. I've already known how this is gonna look if I get your hand. So I like got my hands on some ropes on the deck of the boat, and then I just like shamoo out of the water. The Ogre gives me the energy to just thrust me out of the water onto the deck of the boat, like fully on my belly, arms like out, just full breached whale. Like, I don't even mean that from like a fat perspective, but just from like a, that's what, like, I'm on the boat. And I'm like, oh, I'm on the boat. So I like get on the boat. And he was like super cute. I was like, how long have you been doing this? He's like, I've been doing this for 16 years or something like that. 12 or 16, I can't remember now. And I was like, well, I mean, I guess we made your day interesting. And he's like, oh yeah. He's like, you guys did great. He's like, it's been way worse than this. And I'm thinking, what else he had to do? And like, I can imagine, like, some people are probably really in bad moods or like hysterical or something. At least we were both just like, my husband was just like completely like, oh. But I was like, this is ridiculous. So we get off the boat. We have to go. I'm like, I text the kids like, hey, just continue to have fun. We're fine. Like, you just go. We get to the van, and like, again, he's in all of this cotton clothing. Like, the #1 lesson of kayaking is always, do not wear cotton. It's at all not warm. But he's complete, like, luckily it was warm enough. It's like, it was like 75 degrees or something, 80 degrees. We get his shirt off. We like literally wring it like together, like we're like old timey English washerwomen. Like, get his shirt off. We get, you know, his sweatshirt. Like, we're hanging him up on the van to dry, and like I take my shirt off because I'm wearing a sports bra, so I'm just like wringing out my shirt. Get my clothes back on. Go back to the like rental kiosk or whatever it is, and I'm like, hey, I just wanted to make sure, like, my kids are still out there, but like, I just want to check in to make sure that we don't get charged 2 hours like for the canoe and the kayaks. Like, we just checked in. And she's like, okay, she was super cute and round and sweet as a button, but she was like, oh, we're not gonna charge you. And I was like, oh my gosh, really? I was like, you should have charged me for the canoe and like a rescue fee, but like, thank you so much. And she was like, oh no, that's fine. She's like, and we're not going to rent any more canoes because it is too windy for canoeing. And I was like, well, thank you for pretending it wasn't just us. And she's like, no, really, we're not going to rent any more canoes today. It's a little too choppy for canoeing on the reservoir. So you're welcome, other people who might have fallen into the drink. Get back to the car though. Before I went back to check in, like, I was like, oh, I need to get my card to pay her. And then I was like, where's my wallet? And I'm like, how did my wallet fall out of my bra, my shirt, and my life jacket? Like, that doesn't seem physically possible. And I'm like, really, like, how did this happen? What's going on? And I'm like, oh crap, I've lost my wallet. But at least when we rented the boats, they take your driver's license as like a security deposit. So it's like, oh, at least she's got my driver's license. Because like, that's of course, and I only had like $4, so it's fine. Like everything else is just a card that we replaced. And I know that it's not like stolen. It's like in the bottom of the bar somewhere. I realized that actually it wasn't in my shirt. What had happened is like you had to give the kid at the dock like a little paper to tell them what you were renting. And I like, just like as a reaction, like I had planned to put my wallet in my bra with everything else. But just as like a reflex, I put it in my pocket instead because I had a life jacket on and like, I was like, oh, well, these, I don't even think I thought, oh, I'll put it in there later. I just thought like, I didn't think. I just was like, whoop. So my wallet had been in my pocket. It's now at the bottom of this room. The only thing I was actually upset about losing was my library card because I've had my library card since I moved here. And I was really sad to have to replace it. Also like messed up all my like holds and stuff. Like it was weird. It was fine. But I'm just saying like that was my biggest like, oh. So yeah, that's what happened. He did agree next time we're definitely getting kayaks. Because the kids did fine. Oh my gosh, it was ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay, so then one tiny other thing before we go. I had mentioned last time when I was talking about the facial that I had that like she recommended a couple of products and I think they're working. Okay. So the first one is just like a generic, this was just, I just went ahead and got this because it was like, I needed the free shipping clearly. So the company is called The Ordinary. This is a mineral UV SPF 30 with antioxidants. This works really well. I put this on my face when I got this other crazy sunburn and my face did not get it all sunburnt. So, right? I love the convenience of like the spray on sunblock. Gingers, what do you think? It just doesn't work as well, right? Even though it's like so convenient. I learn this lesson every year. So the other thing she suggested, here, can you see? Let's get really close. I love you so much. Oh wait, I gotta figure out where the light is. This is the most awkward thing. Okay. Oh, I have like some broken capillaries in my cheeks. And I tend to get very red in my face. Like obviously with exertion, because that's when you would get redder normally. But like even like if I get a little anxious or something, like I get flushed, but it's like extra. Okay, so she was like, well, you have a lot of redness in your skin. Like, maybe try this product. I've had a lot of other folks who either had rosacea or had a similar thing, and it seems to really help them. It's kind of like the only thing that is shown as an over-the-counter that would help with it. And it's this. It's azelaic acid. I think that's how she said it. It's just a 10%. So apparently you can get this in a stronger percentage if you go to a dermatologist. And so it's just like a moisturizer. It has a great feel to it. It doesn't feel greasy or anything like that. I haven't noticed it like causing any breakout or, you know, pimply things or anything like that. And I do think it's working. Now, it's not like a night and day, but I've been using it for like 2.5 or 3 weeks now. And like, I don't remember to use it every day. I don't remember to use it every night. I'll be honest with you. I don't always wash my face before I go to bed. I know it's Colonel Sin. I do use it though. Every time I wash my face, I do remember to put this on. That's not true. Sometimes I forget. But I think it is working. It's not like a night or day, but I have noticed, and my husband has even commented on it, that when I get super nervous, I mean, I still flush, but like not to like the extent. And when I do flush, it calms down easier than it did before. So I don't know. I think it's working though. And it was not terribly expensive. I think these both were like the free shipping threshold. I think it was like $25 or something. So, you know, that's pretty good for cosmetic-y things, which are like $1 million. And then the very last thing I have to talk to you about is if you are a bigger human being and you're looking for a waist pack slash fanny pack slash lumbar pack. I bought this one from the North Face. I didn't buy it from the North Face. It's made by the North Face. Again, I got no skin in their game. I don't even think they make fat clothes. I could be wrong about that. But I love it. It's really super roomy. Oh, here's my new library card. It's super roomy. It only has 2 pockets, so it's not like crazy. But it's a 3 liter. So like this is a 22 ounce water thing. And it easily goes in there. So you see how long it is. And then like there's room for plenty of other stuff. There's a pocket you can put, you know, your phone and all that stuff in. One thing that would be nice is I see a lot of the lumbar packs. Well, not a lot, but I've seen lumbar packs that have like a soft, like a brushed fabric in this front pocket so that it's less likely to scratch your sunglasses or your phone or whatever. That would be nice. But other than that, I love it. The straps are very generously sized. I guess I could just measure them right now. Another thing, people, if you're making a thing that goes around somebody's body, include the measurements. Flippin' flap. I did see when I was looking at reviews that a lot of smaller people complained about the straps being too long, but obviously it's a lot easier for a smaller person to cut the strap and just stitch it than it is. I can't make strap when there is no strap, right? And like this thing is not like the slider thing. Like sometimes this happens. Like whatever. I'm happy with it. And it stays in position. It doesn't want to, like the locking mechanism itself, like this buckly part, it doesn't lose length or, you know, gain length, I guess would be the option. Okay, so this, including the buckle, is 26. I'd say it's 26 plus a smidge. Okay, so that means you got 52 plus the actual bag, which is 14. So 66. So I think it would fit up to a 66-inch circumference. Let's say 65 to be safe. Oh yeah, because you're going to lose some of that. So like, yeah, 65. I'm just making sure that the straps are actually the same length because that would be incorrect. Yes, they are. Okay, so I love it. Oh, I showed you the picture of the skirt, but just in case you didn't notice that there was a waist pack, here it is. And I apologize. This picture is just like me holding clothing at Old Navy. Oh my gosh, by the way, Old Navy actually has their fat sizes in the store. I know, fast fashion, etc., be mindful, etc. But how nice. I like, we went in to get the kids some pants because they were going camping and like whatever, etc. And so I wasn't looking for myself, but we were like looking at a clearance rack and I saw like a 4X and I was like, I was like, oh, well, maybe those are just like the thing they do with returns. Everything I looked at had the plus sizes with it. I know they said that's what they were going to do, but I just automatically assumed they were lying. If you're a straight-sized person or you have been a straight-sized person in your life or whatever, I have literally in my life never been able to go into a clothing store with a friend who was not my size, like who wasn't fat, and been able to look at the same clothes with them. That has never happened in my life. Never. And so I didn't get emotional in the store, but I almost got emotional in the store. That's really profoundly powerful. And if you're not a person living in a fat body, like, whoa, it's huge. So I just wanted to mention that. Again, I know there's other things going on, fast fashion, blah, 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 blah. But also I was able to get a pair of pants for $4. And I know that that's wrong. But it's never happened before. Which is really exciting. So anyway, they were on clearance and they were Ochre. Just saying. So yeah. Okay, that's it for this time that we're talking. I already did Shameless. Everything is good. Okay. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.